Good evening, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. One day, many years ago, when I was a student in my native land of Laughter Republic, my English teacher, a woman who had left her life in London to journey to Africa, took me aside. "Obonjo," she said, "you have been my student for 3 years now, and for 3 years you have worked more diligently than anyone I have ever thought. In our first year, you mastered vocabulary and spelling. In our second, you conquered grammar and sentence construction. And over the past year, you have immersed yourself in the works of Shakespeare, Blake, Austen, and many of the other great writers of my homeland. Young Obonjo, there is no more I can teach you about the language and literature of my country. It is time for you to leave my classroom and set to travel to the land from which your heroes came. I admired Miss Evans greatly. Very, very, very well. I admired her. She was a beautiful woman. Indeed, she was the finest teacher I have ever known. So I resolved to make the voyage to England. Some 20 years on, I have returned to the banks of the Thames, and I stand here before you in Westminster, even though I'm sitting down, as President Obonjo of Laughter Republic, the leader of a great nation and ruler of its language. I heard the cry of my people, the cry for words to ennoble life, and as a new millennium dawned, I seized power in a revolution. I dismissed every stakeholder. I abandoned all strategic plans. I threw value propositions onto the ash heap of history. Thus, I won no less than a war for freedom. And to this day, my people adore me for it. And for no longer we engage in horizon scanning. Now we simply bask in the sun. No longer do we subscribe to vision statements. Now we simply dream. And no longer do we undertake leadership initiatives. Yet we live more confidently than ever. Today, my dear Britons, daughters of Bronte, sons of Keats, I call on you to embrace our mission. Yet when I arrived in London, I have found a country at war with its language. I have found a country totally destabilized. I have not expected to hear sonnets on city streets, but I had hoped to find words of humanity. Yet wherever I went, language was mechanical. I began a job as a phone salesman and was told to adopt best practices to achieve my KPIs. I took a course at King's College and was subjected to an outcomes-based curriculum framework. I collapsed from exhaustion, and a nurse at Queen's Hospital said I had suffered an adverse medical event. It was oppressive to live under such language. For how can one act when there are so many action plans? How can one think when they are assigned thought leaders? How can one change when there are already change agents? The beauty of Byron was broken and the sharpness of Dickens dulled. Enough English was not literally. English life was lifeless and I was struggling to pay the bills. So I returned home to Laughter Republic. To speak the truth, to use words of beauty, and together to enchant the language of our tired world. I must warn you, though, I have my critics. Some hold me responsible for involuntary separations. Others claim I had count reductions on my hands. Of course, I deny these accusations. I wish to silence no one. But to those who would slander me, I ask you at least use a high-sounding epithet. Call me the staring slayer of the Sahara, or label me the murderous orator of Africa. Only do not allow language to become clinical. For George Orwell said that language creates civilization. So if our world is losing its humanity, so must breathe new life into our words. In the memory of my English teacher from long ago, I trust you will lend your voice to this cause.